Hey, Casey, following up on that very point, at this point, the president himself has been largely hands-off. And yesterday, he sounded sort of an optimistic note in the briefing that this needs to get done. It will get done. He's obviously put Secretary Mnuchin at the forefront of this. But my two questions for you. First, do you anticipate there'll be more White House pressure in the next day or so, or next few hours? And secondly, talk to us about the Rand Paul situation and all these senators in quarantine. Just how the mechanics and logistics of them not being there, how is that going to affect what happens today?
Yeah, Jonathan, I mean, that second question, it's absolutely stunning. And senators on both sides of the aisle, Democrats, Republicans alike, are so angry at Senator Paul. I mean, a lot of them had no idea. We're still reporting to try to figure out if anyone knew that he had taken this test, but a lot of senators didn't know. Mike Lee, Mitt Romney have both self-quarantined because they were sitting next to him at lunch on Friday. He was swimming in the pool at the Senate gym on yesterday morning with Senator Jerry Moran. I mean, people are just blown away that he would have gotten the test and then put himself in those kinds of situations. The Senate gym, by the way, has been closed. It's usually staffed. The staff has gone home. They're not doing that, but it's a combination lock. So the senators are letting themselves in to the gym, while all Americans, here are dealing with the fact that, nobody can do that, or they're all closed down because we're all supposed to be, being more careful. And, this raises, by the way, Congressman Ben McAdams, the Democrat from Utah, has been hospitalized, his office said, with coronavirus symptoms. So, I mean, these people, people are very frustrated that they don't feel as though Rand Paul is taking this seriously. And there's real risk to the entire Senate, and they have no plan to vote remotely if they need to.
I mean, if you're telling me that senators and members in Washington are using the combination lock to get in the gym, what are you, teenagers? Do you have the teenage brain? Do you think nothing applies to you?
I mean,
because actually I think this virus is coming most of your ways, because you're in that age category of risk. And I'm not trying to be funny or snarky. I'm actually desperately trying to communicate that we need leadership in Washington, and you cannot get sick. This sounds inane, the way they're behaving.
I guess, Dr. Emanuel, it's stating the obvious, but Rand Paul did just about everything wrong personally that you can do if you're being tested for the coronavirus and if you're still awaiting your results. Talk about that and talk about the real threat to an aging Senate.
Well, what I'm really upset about is he's a physician, and he ought to know best in the whole Senate. And he did what everyone has said on this show, the worst. He got tested because he suspected it, and rather than self-quarantine, which we advise everyone to do after a test until they get the result, he went out and he literally spread it. And I think, Mika, your analogy with the teenage brain and behaving like an irresponsible teenager is right. And you're also right. The Senate is a perfect petri plate, even better than Florida, because everyone is together, comes together for votes, has to negotiate, sit side by side down there on the Senate floor over lunch. This is a very bad situation. And totally irresponsible. I mean, we should be looking to our elected officials to be models of good behavior. And we've got a lot of these politicians who are not models. We even have President Trump. He gets up at those news conferences, and you notice behind him, I can't tell you how many emails and phone calls I've gotten. What are all those people doing crunched up behind him? I thought we were talking about physical distancing, 6 feet apart. Those press briefings ought to have one other person, and that's it, without all the crowding together. And, this level of lack of leadership, I mean, the things we're asking the public to do that we're not emulating, is not being emulated by our public officials, and especially by a physician. I mean, I can't tell you, multiple times Rand Paul has sort of violated his basic oath of being a physician, that he should model good, healthy behaviors.
Dr. Emanuel, Dr. Jha, thank you. Peter Baker, Casey Hunt, thank you as well for your reporting. Still ahead on Morning Joe, President Trump has touted his great relationship with China. But did that great relationship cloud his ability to listen to intel warnings about this coming crisis? Plus, we'll look at the reporting that the Justice Department is now seeking new emergency powers amid this pandemic, and lawmakers on both sides of the aisle outraged. You're watching Morning Joe. We'll be right back.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.